Okay, guys, today we're going to discuss how to solve two-step equations. Don't worry about that date. Old notes. Alright, this should be simple enough if you have taken the time to write your notes from the previous lessons, because today is simply just a combination of both. Should be very simple in terms of the process that you have to do. So let's jump into it. Alright, remember that the definition of solve is isolating a variable, or getting your variable x or y, whatever it may be, m, q, whatever the variable is, isolating it. Whichever side of the equation that it's on, your job is to get the variable by itself. And so everything that you do should be moving things away from the variable. Now, two-step equations involve two math operations. We have addition and subtraction. Those two work together, so it's one or the other. And multiplication or division is one or the other, and it's one of from each. Don't want to make it too complicated, but one from each one of these little circles here gives us our two steps. So we're either going to add or subtract, that's one, and we're going to multiply or divide, that's two. Now, how are we going to do this? First of all, you got to recognize what's being added or subtracted. You, the student, the person working the problem, has to be able to figure out, as you look at a particular example, what do you notice is being added or subtracted, multiplied or divided. You have to be able to figure that out just by looking, and that's your first step, and it's probably the most important. Once you can figure out those, then the first thing you will actually do is remove your addition and subtraction first. Now, right here, you probably can't read it. It's really bright on my screen, but it says you make your number 0. Why do I have that on there? Because that's what you do in order to remove your addition and subtraction. You have to make the number that's with the variable equal 0. So we put it together with its opposite. Then, after we do that, we make the number that's with the variable 1 by doing multiplication or division, or the inverse of what we actually see. So in short, what we're about to do is first remove our addition and subtraction by doing the opposite sign to both sides, and then remove our multiplication and division by doing the inverse of the operation that you see. So let's look at number 1. 10x plus 3 equals 33. I have two numbers on the same side with the variable. That's kind of how you know you have a two-step equation. I have one variable and two numbers on that side with it. I have a 10 and I have a 3. Notice that the 10 is right next to the x, which means multiply, and the 3 is further away with an addition sign between it and the variable, so the 3 is being added. So the rules say you subtract first, or remove your addition and subtraction first, but remember, whatever you do to one side, you do the same thing to the other side. And so notice I subtracted 3 from both sides, and those cancel out, which leaves me 10x on this side. That just comes straight down. 33 minus 3 is 30. Last week we had one step and we were done. Now we have one step and we're still not done, because solve means get the variable by itself, and the variable x is still not isolated. So now this 10 being right next to x means multiply, so I have to divide. So once you divide, you get x equals 30 divided by 10 is 3. So where are the two steps? One step of subtraction and one step of division right here. And so that's how you get your two steps. Last week we did one subtraction and we were done. We did one division and we're done. This week we have two steps. And the order that which you do it makes it a lot simpler. Just want to make sure you understand that all your answers won't come out to be these nice pretty numbers, but they're easy to work with in your notes. Number 2, things are switched around a little bit. As you can see, the problem has flipped to the other side. It doesn't matter. 3x minus 50. The 3 and the negative 50 or the minus 50 have to go. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add 50. Why did I add 50 first? Because it was being subtracted. The notes tell us to remove addition and subtraction first. So you don't just go find the first number and do the opposite. Nope. What you do is you look for what's being added or subtracted on the side that the variable is on. Then I divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 1, or 1 equals x. Number 3. Number 3 is different because I have h over 12, which means divide. I had 10x, that means multiply. I had 3x, that means multiply. Now I have h over 12, that means divide. But I'm not ready for that because the first thing we have to do is actually physically do is remove your addition and subtraction first. So I subtract 3 from both sides. That leaves me h over 12 equals 12. Now, how do I undo division? We talked about this last week. Since this is divide, I have to multiply by my denominator to both sides. That causes those two to cancel out, and I'm left with 12 times 12, which is 144. So you're either going to multiply or divide on your second step. You're either going to add or subtract on your first step. Now, you can't see this, so I'm going to write it in. It's q over 15 minus 1/5 equals 3/5. The copier don't print in color, and these were like highlighted or something. Okay, so the idea is still the same. It doesn't matter that I have fractions. The rules still apply. What rules, Mr. Freeman? Well, these rules right here. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Remove your addition and subtraction first. I see a 15 and I see a minus 1/5. According to the rules, that is a subtraction because it's not right next to or right underneath. So I'm going to add 1/5 to both sides. Yes, I can add fractions, and you can too, even if you can't, because you can use a calculator. 3/5 plus 1/5. I'm not going to talk about that. Use a calculator, but it's 4/5. You already got common denominators. Now, that was my first step. My second step is to get rid of this 15. Again, it's division. So how do I get rid of it? I'm going to multiply both sides by 15. Those cancel out, and you're left with q equals 12. That's how you do two-step equations. Good luck.